Episode 160 of the 4x4 podcast is brought to you by Artemis Overland Hardware. Artemis Overland Hardware is a family business with a huge selection of overland equipment in stock for online orders, or you can visit the showroom located in Springfield, Missouri. Either way, Artemis Overland Hardware will get you equipped and ready for all your adventures, wherever they may take you.
You're listening to the 4x4 podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it, or you're on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan, Craig, and Rich.
Well, hello, fellas. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing better.
Better? Well,
I'm doing great. Yeah.
That's good. It's amazing the show is happening at all right now because the demons are in the soundboard right now and the cables and everything. So we have to keep this show moving along before everything just comes apart at the seams or something starts a fire in this little studio we've got here. But just for anybody that is new to the 4x4 podcast, I'm your host, Dan. We have Rich, who is hovering over his phone and on his second whiskey. So there's that. And Craig, up in Northern California, in a much more organized studio than I have right now. So that's who we are.
Not by much.
Well,
not by much.
You at least have a curtain to disguise it behind you. Well, we can go ahead and jump into the interview here. Tonight this is an interview that I recorded forever ago, and for some reason we just never did get it released. This is Martin from Milestar Tires, and when we come back from the interview, we will talk a little bit more about Milestar Tires. I've got some exciting news there. So, without any further delay, let's jump to that interview. Today on the podcast, I have Martin from Milestar Tires. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Doing great, despite being trapped in the house from the coronavirus. But I want to take this opportunity and get to know Milestar a little bit better because honestly, until the last couple weeks, I really didn't know anything about Milestar Tires. It wasn't a brand that I was familiar with. I've been running, to be completely honest, I've been running BFGs for a long time, decades. But after running the Mojave Road, I guess it was about a year ago now, in between two vehicles had 4 tire failures, I've started kind of look and see what else is out there. And put a lot of miles on my wife's truck. Hers is going to be due for tires before mine. So I started taking a look. So I wanted to get to know Milestar a little bit better. So can you kind of elaborate or tell me a little bit about the history of Milestar Tires?
Sure. So the brand itself was created about 8 years ago, and it was strictly created to handle specialty tires and just generic sizes, anything what we call commodity tires, where there's a lot of competition, price compression happens because of that. So there's not a lot of margin, but it's something that could compete in the market at some point. And the brand is owned by Tire Co., which is a parent company, and we're based in Los Angeles. And that's who I work for, but it's not like I'm a brand representative. So I'm the events and activation manager, quote unquote. And what that ends up being is any sort of outside marketing for Tire Co. Is something that tends to fall under my purview. And Tire Co. itself started over 45 years ago in Los Angeles doing specialty tires like lawnmower tires, trailer tires, bicycle tires. And it was just an importer at that time. And through the decades, the business has evolved. We're a privately owned company, and we're a family-owned company. The owners actually they still sign all the expense checks, every single one. And
wow,
yeah, and it's the company's pretty big. We got 700 people that work for Tire Co. And about 29 warehouses deep nationally. And our master DC is here in Southern California in Fontana, and that's 1.1 million square feet of tires.
Wow.
So it holds about 1.5 million tires. And that's how the business has evolved. Like I said, we're an American-owned company, privately held. The tires are made overseas in Thailand and Vietnam and Indonesia, but in all those same countries, any of the other competitors, whether it's a Toyo or a Falcon or, Yokohama, and, just like you said, BFG just recently, well, I should say BFG's parent company, Michelin. Michelin just bought a factory in Indonesia. So we're seeing the tire market is its own little beast. It's a pretty crazy place. But Tireco created Milestar 8 years ago because they needed a brand that they could control. Like I said, they were importing products and they were importing other brands, but they really didn't have the means to dictate design, sales, distribution, and the product spread. So, the reason why you've seen it kind of explode and take fire recently is because my boss and I have been at various different places in the tire industry previous to this, and he hired me. He's the VP of sales and marketing at Tireco, and he's got a lot of decades experience in the tire industry on both sides. So not only was he working in a tire shop, but he became a regional manager, and then he worked as a buyer for Sears Roebuck at the time, and then transitioned from there into being the sales manager and then sales VP at another company, another tire manufacturer. And then, well, once you get into tires, you stay in tires, it seems, is the trend. Yeah. But we brought all that industry experience, and both of us are Jeepers. We're both wheelers. We're both enthusiasts. And we took, the nice thing about being a privately held company is we have a lot of control. We get to dictate what we want to do with a product. So, Milestar at the time really had, the company was so focused. Like I said, it's got all this distribution and it's got all these resources, but they really didn't know how to market, and they really didn't have their marketing plan really wasn't a marketing plan. It was sell as many tires as you can. And you can only go to market with a brute force sales strategy for so long until you got to put something behind it, right?
Right.
And like you said, you've been running BFGs for decades, right? Well, there's a reason why. Decades ago, it was BFG and Goodyear going after each other in competitive desert racing, and it created a legacy for the product. And so every decade, you'd see the transition of the product in a new phase or a new design or some sort of improvement. And you see this evolution over time. So it's going to be natural for you to own it, right? Because it has the pedigree. They've established themselves. They've made the investment, not only with enthusiasts, but just to prove the product itself, right?
Exactly.
So it tends to go both ways. People like the racing, but people also, the company's able to take lessons learned in competition and leverage it into products, right? So for us, we're like, hey, we've got the ability to do a lot here, and because we're privately held, there's not a lot of middle management. There's not a lot of red tape.
Yeah, you can kind of streamline things.
Right. And ownership really respected the fact of the way that we were coming from a data-based and a rational perspective to the market. And the MT is just one of 16 different product lines that we produce under Milestar. And that's it's something you can put marketing behind, right? Like, no one's going to care about a 14-inch white wall tire. That's, again, that's a commodity product, right? Yeah. And it's really, it's just not going to be anything you can really put something behind. So the MT, it's got a unique design, and it certainly stands out. Like, it's visually unique. When I first saw it, I was skeptical, to say the least. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, that thing is, I don't know. But, over time, it's honestly impressive, where it's positioned, like what you're able to get out of it, features and benefits, and what it actually does on the trail, and what it costs at the end of the day. Yeah,
and I think that's really the thing that jumped out the most when I saw this is, like, a 40-inch tire was extremely affordable. And that's when I was like, well, wait a second. If that's what a 40-inch tire costs in comparison to the competition, what does a tire in a 35 cost? And the affordability of Milestar tires is pretty awesome. But before we start talking about that, can you kind of elaborate? I know the Patagonia MT is the one that caught my eye, but there's also the AT and then the XT in between. I hadn't heard about it's kind of a hybrid somewhere in between a mud terrain and an all-terrain.
Yeah, that's what's in vogue right now. Customers, we're seeing an evolution with vehicles. And we'll start with one of the biggest ones on the market, which is the Jeep Wrangler. And it recently released a new version, a complete redesign 2 years ago in the JL. And basically it really changed everyone's perception of how good a Jeep could be out of the factory. People are bolting on 37s.
Yeah.
and if you own any previous generation of Jeep, let's just say TJ and earlier, that's like mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because it's just the amount of work that it took to get 37s on like a TJ, for example, was just, it was a lot of work and to make it functional, right? Well, now it's functional, it's easy to drive, it gets great gas mileage, and it's super comfortable, quiet. And so we see this new launch of this new product, right? And so customers' expectations in every generation, they keep getting greater and greater. And the products, the tires are really the only thing that comes into contact with the road. And as the vehicles evolve, the people who use them, it goes to a broader market. There's more people. And with that, the expectations tend to change. And so that's why you're seeing this new hybrid product come out, is because, an all-terrain tends to have, a mileage warranty and good traction. It's all purpose tends to be, right?
Yep.
And you find all kinds of flavors where there's some that are just strictly an all-terrain with a mileage warranty, and some are an all-weather product, right, with a 3-peak snowflake rating. And then you find, a highway terrain. So there's all types of different iterations. And then there's the MT, which is either a max traction or a mud terrain. So depending upon the manufacturers, they use that MT designation interchangeably. For us, we definitely see it as a max traction product. And while it can do like some mud, right? Some mud is different. Like if you go down to Florida, Florida mud's different than Tennessee, which is different than Louisiana. There's all types of different slop out there. So certain regions tend to have biases on what's better, but it's because one's like soup and others are like peanut butter, and it's still mud,
Yeah.
So for us, a max traction, the MT is something where it's not only giving you that extra performance, right, to sacrifice longevity, but you also get extra strength. So 3-ply sidewall on the MT for us versus 2-ply for our all-terrain. And like I said, you got customer expectations being raised because the vehicles that these products are going on are being raised, like they're improving. And okay, how can we satisfy somebody who wants the durability and strength of an MT and the look of an MT, something aggressive, with the features and benefits of an all-terrain, right? With a mileage warranty.
Yep.
and better all-season or all-weather performance. So for our XT, that's kind of where we took it, where it's the combination of the strength of a 3-ply sidewall like the MT, but it's got a mileage warranty like the AT, right? So the AT for us has 50,000-mile warranty. The XT has 40,000-mile warranty. The MT doesn't have a mileage warranty because we do expect it to be used in, obviously, more extreme situations.
Fewer miles, but those miles are going to be way more difficult.
Yeah, that's what we expected. But obviously, again, people want the look and maybe don't use the performance, or they use the performance on the weekend, but they're driving to work, outside of that, right?
Yep.
So the XT is trying to put those things together, right? And again, it's to address consumer expectations, which have grown. And in addition to the mileage warranty and the improved construction, there's also, we just got a 3-peak snowflake certified. So that means severe snow certification. So if you were to go, like if you're in Southern California and you go up to Big Bear, or if you were to go in the Eastern Sierras and you go up into Mammoth, you wouldn't need snow chains because the product is three-peak snowflake certified. So severe snow certified is a big deal. Again, features and benefits. Customers want more. I mean, you have a heated steering wheel in a Wrangler now.
Which is mind-blowing for somebody that drives a 20-year-old.
That's right. It's like, wow, like how did we get here? But again, consumer expectations keep getting raised. So you've got to be able to have the products to do that. And, in addition to all these features and benefits with the XT, we're also producing the industry's first 40-inch 1350/17 all-terrain. So a 40-inch tire, 3-ply sidewall with a 40,000-mile warranty. And, a lot of it's because, we have that direct input over product. We're like, look, we feel like we have such a benefit in the market with our price position that we can leverage these extra features and benefits and still, be able to catch those customers that want this, right? So the Gladiator, I've seen people just bolt on 42s. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
How did we get here?
Right. Like, I'm like, dude, my LG's got 35s, man. Like,
and they feel big.
Yeah, but people, like, again, the expectation to do this is being raised. Now, whether or not they use it, that's a debate for another day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's another conversation. But the fact is that we're seeing it, and it's becoming a trend, and it's because the vehicles are capable. So in terms of our product for the Patagonia, they're all the Patagonia product line. That's our light truck product line. But the ATR, the XT, and the MT kind of showcase, and we try to capture all those different either enthusiasts or just general public, people who just need an all-terrain.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like for my wife, we've got a Ram 1500, and it sees a lot of highway miles, but it also sees a lot of Big Bear desert miles. So, it's hard to say like what would be best, but the Patagonia, from the looks of it, just the tread design is really unique, and where like that center strip probably cuts down on road noise. That's one of the things that I've read a lot about, people saying that for a mud tire, it's extremely quiet just because of that design. Still gets great traction.
Right.
I'd be kind of on the fence. I know my wife probably would prefer the AT just because it's a 2-year-old truck and we've got over 50,000 miles on it. But some of those miles are coming from Alaska. We do a lot of off-roading between here and there. So, a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, it's really, again, it's about people's expectations, and that's why you see our products kind of try to address that. There's people will ask you, well, why don't you make this size and why don't you make that size? And it's always rationalized. Where's the volume at, and how do we justify the expenditure? On average, you're going to spend $50,000 just to create the mold, and that mold for that tire is just for that one size in that one product, and it can't be used for anything else. So the investment cost, if you make 20 sizes, 25 sizes, that's $500,000 before you even make a tire. That's before the production cost. So, some of those challenges, you look at it and you're like, wow. So for us, it's always, people ask, well, how do you make any money like that? And it's like, well, maybe you should be asking why other people are charging you so much for the other products. Like, we're not out here to say like it's the world's best tire ever, bar none. It's really not that. It's really, we wanted something when we initially built this tire or spec'd the tire, we wanted something that would have some sort of advantage, right? And one of the complaints is always the noise. So we're like, can we address that? And then you address the noise, but what about the capability? We still have to have capability. So that's why you see some of the compounding. People will say it's a little soft. It's not as hard as a lot of other competitors in the MT market. That's for sure. And in trade-off, you're not going to get the life out of it. If you do good maintenance and you take care of your tire pressures, you're going to see 30 to 40,000 miles. Got people in Ohio, Jeepers in Ohio. This guy religiously changes rotates the tires every 3,000 miles in a 5-tire rotation. And he was getting 42,000 miles out of his tires. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I'd say he's more of an extreme case in terms of just maintenance. I mean, a lot of us, I'm not going to lie, like sometimes I'll get off the trail and I'll drive 40 miles and it'll be at 12 PSI. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's not ideal for tires.
But, sometimes you just don't want to sit there for that 20 minutes, or you're going to some other obstacle. Sometimes if you go to events,
you're just get
you're
from one trail to the next.
Right. So there's always that in between. That tends to, reduce that overall life expectancy. But, for our products, it's really about trying to, hey, it's a fair product at a very fair price. I think that's really what has kind of caught people's attention is, it's not, like I said, it's not a world beater, but it's also pretty compelling. It does give you the performance you desire. It's got the sizing option. We even have soft compound versions that anybody can buy. It's not some super secret program that you have to know somebody, or it has to be purchased through a third party. You can buy it online from Discount Tire Direct or Northridge 4x4. They both deal direct with us, and it also ensures that people tend to have a better customer service experience because it's responsive. So you can buy a lot of things from a lot of different places nowadays, but I think the thing that can separate it is that customer service.
Yeah, the customer service means a lot.
Right.
So, I mean, we got a great looking tire that performs well, an affordable price, a great warranty. If somebody wants to see Milestar tires in person, besides just online, because I know seeing a picture of it is not the same as getting your hands on it. I know I saw you guys out at King of the Hammers. You guys going to be at other events?
We were at the inaugural Adventure Expo.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
the first one down in Costa Mesa, and that was a great experience for us. We had a lot of different ambassadors, as they're called, but just people who are excited about our tires and that we work with, like Marcos, were there. That's one way to do it. Unfortunately, due to these ever-changing times, it's we were supposed to be at Moab right now.
Yeah, I guess that was an unfair question based on current world events.
I mean, just to tackle that head on, right now our company, corporate's working remote, and we're definitely we put some very, very stringent rules in place for all of our distribution centers, and it's to keep everybody working, and it's to keep the business moving, despite some of the market challenges. And our CEO's focus is just keeping people employed, and so trying to figure that out, trying to make sure that we're hitting our numbers to stay afloat, to bear these challenging times, and to make it through. That's priority one. So I can't say where we're going to be in 4 to 5 months, because every event not only has been rescheduled or canceled, but they might be rescheduled or canceled again. And right now, all my resources that I would use to be at events, I mean, it's everything's been put on hold, because got to keep people employed.
Yep.
Which is great. I mean, I really respect the fact that a dynamic business is prioritizing its people. I mean, I really respect that, and that makes me want to work harder. But for me, it's man, I want to get out and work. My job is relationships a lot of times, but it's also getting out there and being in people's backyard. Hey, this is what we're doing. I would say where.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll check back in once things start to blow over and turn back down and see where we can link up. Because, honestly, you're not that far. There's a high probability that we could end up on the same trail at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, again, private us private owners, we can tend to do what we want as long as the trails are open.
Yeah.
I mean, I broke my front axle a few months ago, so I'm waiting on. I got the next 2 weeks. I'll be putting in a new Dynatrack Pro Rock 44 and some other stuff. I got some going from 2.0s to 2.5s and front outboard and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the Jeep that you're running, because this adds credibility to a guy that works at an off-road tire company. Probably ought to have a pretty good rig.
I wish we were more of an off-road. We could say that we're more of an off-road tire company, but we make everything, which is a surprising thing. But we certainly like that marketing. Like, it's exciting, right? Because off-roading and adventure, just seeking adventure, it's in vogue, but it's also something that everybody's done, right? If you've had a vehicle, it's sort of become Americana, right?
Yeah.
Not only Americans' obsessions with, like, we'd see hot rods or muscle cars from like my father's generation. At that time, 4-wheel drives were like, pickups would get you there and you'd take all the stuff. Well, now you can have a 4-wheel drive that's highly capable and still comfortable. Well, my Jeep, so like, I was always trying to, I was shown, why are you going to invest the money up front for something that you're going to cut up anyways? And, to me, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it once and I want to do it right. So I bought the Jeep about 4 years ago from Davies Jeeps in Ohio. And it was a wrecked 2005 Wrangler Unlimited. And the real catch was it had a clean title. So I got the Jeep, I bought it, had it delivered. It was like $3,700 from Ohio to California. And, I ended up patching the oil pan because I had a hole and some other stuff. And I just to prove that it could run. And yes, all the electronics are good. All the basic stuff's good. But I didn't end up using that engine. When I actually built it, we built it in my buddy's driveway. Because this is something that he runs his own like little side business doing upfitting and Jeep construction. Right. And I got the frame was wasted. It was actually a Massachusetts car. And it's just rusty. And I mean, it was bad. and it was the frame was bent. So I had to find a new LJ frame, and that's incredibly rare these days, right? Yeah. I went to Sergeant Jeep up in the high desert, and he actually had one. So I ended up buying the frame from him and taking that down, and we literally did a frame up build in my buddy's driveway. The only thing that is still original on that Jeep is the tub and the rear axle. So I got the 4-liter from Gerald at Savvy Off-Road. We did some horse trading for that, so shout out to him for all his support. And most of my parts are all Savvy, so the armor, the bumpers, the suspension, it's the mid arm, all that stuff's there. And then I've got like the Curry 4-inch springs, Johnny joints all the way around, anti-rocks front and rear, and I got like a rear outboard. So I got like Fox 2.5s in the back with the DSCs. I mean, and like, I'm buying these parts and so-and-so's got these, but this guy backed out. So, we can get it for you on a deal. Cool. I'll take the deal. Like, I mean, I got 12-inch 2.5 Resi shocks for $1,000, $1,100.
Oh wow!
And they were brand new. Yeah. Screaming deal, dude. So it's opportunities like that where it's like, people weren't able to follow through.
Be at the right place at the right time.
I mean, that's really a lot of it. But I mean, the transmission, a buddy of mine replaced it. I've got a whole bunch of stuff from Blaine at Black Magic Brakes, who's local here to Southern California. I mean, my brakes are his brakes. And it's honestly, that was one of my favorite upgrades because you can't appreciate how much a good brake setup is until in my opinion, until you're either a road racer or a rock crawler. And most people wouldn't think that a rock crawler, you'd want great brakes, but when you re-gear your Jeep, and I have 513s in mine, and that's a lot of leverage. And if you're in 4-low and you want to crawl, even with 35s, having brakes means you can control either your ascent or descent. And his brakes there's no noise, there's no fade. You can heat them up real hard and get them. If you've been riding them all day on the trail, right? If you're out in Johnson Valley, like power braking is your friend, 100%, right? Exactly. Especially in a full-bodied rig, right? Like you need the control, right? And that's how you also don't want to break stuff. And momentum can get you up anything, but it can break things easily too. So, the brake setup is it's one of my favorite things because I drive when I am doing events. I'll drive that Jeep because we're a little frugal. Let's just say we don't have the big budgets that all of our competitors do, and so I'll take my Jeep and I'll drive it to Moab in Easter Jeep Safari or All for Fun in Colorado from Southern California, and I won't be towing it. I'll drive it. I need to get it back, right? And one of the best things is when you're going down the grades, like coming out of Eisenhower on the 70.
Oh yeah.
That's a big steep decline, and having those brakes there, just getting me through those just every single grade on the 70 and the 15, just peace of mind. But when you're wheeling and you have the leverage, dude, you can stop it on a dime, and you can turn your tires. You can place your vehicle where you want, and you can be really conscious with it instead of the Jeep overpowering everything, right? So
yeah, my friend Tony over at the Jeep Talk Show, he's running the Black Magic brakes. That's pretty awesome. He has nothing but great things to say about them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you can either do the pads or you can do like the 16-inch kit. They got a 15-inch kit, a 16-inch kit, a 16-inch kit that fits in a 15-inch wheel, right? Because TJ guys are like that. And then he's got his the big brake 16 kit, and then like a big brake 17 kit. And I mean, for the money, I can't tell you, man. And what's cool is his knuckles. He makes his like the dual mode knuckles. Those are forged in Southern California.
Oh, no way.
They're not forged, but excuse me, they're cast here in Southern California. And the parts, everything. I mean, it's just like when you buy something from Curry. It's got all the little bits that you need. It's that high quality piece. Yeah. His stuff is the same way. And he's got, I just can't say enough. Like, the dude's helped me out when I've had a problem. Like, I bought my steering setup from him because he's got the RAM assist to where you don't have to monkey with anything. It's going to give you the exact throw that you need. And it comes with all the little fittings to pull off your powered box. I mean, the attention to detail that his kits have, I mean, it's stuff like that no one like teaches you. That's why I'm like so glad like my buddy Matt helped me out, is because he's like, look, if you do this, you're going to need this. And if you do those things, you're going to need that. And it's like, holy cow. He's like, so do you want to build it twice, or do you want to spend the money up front and build it once?
Exactly.
Oh, so, but yeah, man, I mean, that was my intent. I built the Jeep to drive it to events, to wheel it, and then to drive it home.
Yeah, and not have to worry about braking.
Right?
That's awesome. Well, Martin, I really appreciate your time and enlightening me about Milestar Tires. I'm sure we could sit here and talk off-roading all day long. But hopefully... Well, what do
you drive?
So I drive...
You got to give me some info about
all right.
man.
So I've got a 99 Jeep Cherokee that I purchased in 2004 in Maryland because I had I guess it was a 90 Cherokee? I can't even remember now. Drove it from Idaho to my first duty station in Maryland, blew up the engine, so I was in the market for a new one. Found the one I have now on eBay. And the guy had put, it was a father-son team, they had put at least $12,000 worth of parts into it. So it had a Skyjacker 8-inch lift kit, 35s, ARB bumper, a rear bumper. It was built, ready to go, but it had an electrical issue. It turned out it was the computer, engine computer.
Yeah.
Replaced that. All the problems went away, and it's been great. I've been doing a lot of rock crawling until I started having to worry about getting home from the trails with my kids. So I've kind of toned it back a little bit, but it's still extremely well built. I've only had to make minor repairs. Minor being, I've gone through 3-ring and pinions before I decided to swap axles.
Hey, I know how you feel, man. I know how you feel.
But I went from the Dana 44 rear end that was in there to the Ford 8.8, and it's run great ever since. I've got some Atlas Springs from another California company here.
Yeah.
And those things are phenomenal. Those leaf springs are amazing. Now driving around here in the desert, I'm able to handle some higher speeds. I may have launched it off a riverbed, coming out of a riverbed. I went a little more than 2 Jeep lengths and landed it. And my drink stayed in the cup holder. So like it's that good.
Well, I mean, so if you got that did you do the subframe reinforcement?
So the Skyjacker kit has a subframe assembly that goes onto it and does some reinforcement. I haven't done the full reinforcement of the entire frame yet. I'm sure that'll eventually happen. For a long time, I was going back and forth, like, do I keep the Jeep or do we just ditch it and move on to something else? But, it's been paid for over a decade. It's hard to let something like that go, especially when my oldest daughter is now 14 or almost 14. She really wants this Jeep. I said, it may not be a good first car for you, but, we'll keep it around. So
yeah, right. No, I mean, that's always the question, right? Everyone wants to, everybody has different needs, but it's like when you've got that much into it, that time, and it's an investment at some point, right? You're likely never going to get it back, but it's really hard to part with it if it's still doing everything you want it to.
Yeah,
right?
And really, it's bottomed out on value. It's not going to sell for what I would need to easily move into something else. So at this point, we'll just hold on to it and save our pennies and, go for other projects. It's a great time. I know it inside out and backward. There's really not any, surprises because I've been wrenching on it since 2004. So for 14 years, I've been messing around with it. So.
14? That's 16 years, man.
Oh, man. Looks the years have flown by. You're right.
It's 2020, bro. It ain't 2018.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I've had it for a while. And before that, I had another Jeep Cherokee. So, I'm familiar with it. And it still catches lots of, I get a lot of thumbs up and waves going down the highway just because it stands out. So, like that. So, we'll keep building it, keep running it. And it is, I bought it in Maryland. I now live in California. I drove up to Alaska with my wife, 3 kids, and the dog pulling a trailer that I built. And the only issue that I had is it blew a fuse because the dome light shorted out on me. And it's pretty good.
You hauled your family with a 4-liter, and is it automatic or manual?
It's a manual. It's a 5-speed 2-door, in fact. You
had 5 people in there with a dog?
They weren't happy about it, but they were in there.
Man, that's high stakes. Jeez.
Yeah, and it's it was a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle game getting everybody to fit in there. But I've got a storage box in the back so the dog can sit comfortably. We can still access things. But now my kids are larger, so they take up more room in the back, and so family adventure in the Jeep is not as enjoyable for them, which has me looking for another vehicle so that way we can let them spread out. And I always do what I say, not what I do. I go out on a lot of adventures on my own. But having 2 vehicles, I'd be able to go out with family adventure, 2 vehicles, and we're good to go. I can now, say that I do what I preach.
I gotta say, with where everything's sitting right now, JKs are going to be one of the best values because I know they get a lot of hate from like purists or whatever. And I get it. It's a mall crawling Jeep, quote unquote. But the frame on them is so good.
Yep.
You can, the 4 doors, the capacity is just, it's crazy what you can do with it. And it doesn't take that much, in all honesty, right? It's got the wheelbase.
Now that the JL is out, those prices are coming down.
And it's
good.
It's value, right? If you get an early, say you get like an 08, 09 with still that minivan motor or the 3.8 that just lump that big turd. Yeah. If you get that, I just put a Ruba crawler in my TJ because it's got the same transmission, right? The 42 RLE.
Yep. And
let me tell you, man, that doubler, if you were to put that in that 3.8, 1, it would wheel so good. And 2, you could take it and have like that, that family vehicle, but still, if you want to go take it out to Moab, you can take it out to Moab and you can let it eat on 35s, 37s and not have massive issues.
Sure.
It's just, they built the JKs pretty dang well. The ring and pinions are much beefier, front and rear. Doesn't matter if it's a high pinion 30 or the 44. They're a good bit better than the stuff that was in XJs and TJs. I think for people's value, if you just want to get into a family 4x4, that's a lot of Jeep. That's a lot of wheeling for the dollar.
I know it, and I've been actually looking for something that would be a good project, so that my oldest daughter can really learn to fix the things. And she's been wanting a Jeep her whole life, anyways. teach her to wrench on it. I mean, she's been helping with the XJ anyways, but having something that's already there that she can look forward to, knowing that here in a few years, this will be mine, build up that sense of ownership. She'll be good to go.
I'd imagine there's got to be 2-door JKs that got to be super cheap. Like if you can get her into like a manual or something, and then at some point, like she could, if she really wanted to, she could stretch it and get that like JKL thing going on where it's like a 105 wheelbase, like, I mean, that's the thing, dude. There's so many parts out for it right now. Like,
seriously.
I'm with you. I can see why you're looking at it because it makes a lot of sense. And
it does. Unfortunately, my military lifestyle has me wondering, like, well, in a year and a half, where am I going to be living? Am I dumping projects to go to Europe, or what's going to happen? So that's always my apprehension. Right now, I'm kind of on the borderline for design. We'll see.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to look, though.
Does your station, I mean, so how often do you end up?
At least
changing?
every 3 years. Usually more often, yeah.
This is your career full time. This is what you're going to do and retire.
Well, at least for the next couple years, I'm approaching 20. So, and then it's up to Alaska, where parts become even more difficult to find. So if I'm going to do it, I'm kind of at the edge where I want to. If I know I'm going to be staying stateside, I'll be picking up another project.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so how long you been out of Fort Irwin?
So I've been here for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. So I got here in July 18.
All right. Well, you got some time here to enjoy that wonderful California desert.
Yeah, it's funny. It has its appeal to it, and it's hard to say I actually have to work. I get paid to go off-roading in a Humvee by myself. I'm cooking out and camping with friends, and I get to play with all kinds of large munitions. Pretty sweet job, not gonna lie.
No, well, I mean, I do appreciate that. I know my boss and I we're pretty just thankful for people like you that are able to make those choices. Again, be able to.
Whenever you get a chance to come out here to the middle of nowhere and then take a left turn into where the world actually does end, we'll have to link up on some trails.
Yeah, you said you went out to Calico the other day. I was like, man, this guy's going wheeling on a weekday. Like, I got to get on that.
Yep. It's good stuff.
All right, man.
All right,
it's
Martin,
a pleasure
I appreciate
meeting you.
it. Yeah.
Thanks for reaching out. It's cool.
All right, Martin, we'll talk to you later. Hopefully sometime soon I can be stuffing some new Milestar tires on one of my rigs.
Some Patagucci's?
Yeah, it'll be nice.
All right, man. Well,
all right.
Appreciate the opportunity, man.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Artemis Overland Hardware is a local family-run business that supplies your adventures. They have a brick-and-mortar store located in Springfield, Missouri, where you can come down and browse the huge selection of equipment. And when I say the selection is huge, I mean it's huge. Artemis Overland Hardware has a large chunk of the catalog available from Oztent, 23-0, Easy On, Snowmaster fridges, and one of my personal favorites, Tembo Tusk. They've also got Covia, Frontrunner, Alucab, iCamper, Come Up Winches, Factor 55, Crazy Beaver Tools, National Luna, Red Arc, Iron Man 4x4, and Goose Gear. Now, this isn't just a long list of reputable brands. Artemis Overland Hardware is all about building relationships. Relationships with the customers are absolutely important. And you can see that when they do the events they are hosted in their shop. And your satisfaction is only able to be guaranteed because of the relationship and trust that has been fostered between Artemis Overland Hardware and these brands. If you have any questions about anything that Artemis Overland Hardware carries, then do not hesitate to call Aaron and his team. Check out ArtemisOverland.com and get equipped and ready for all your adventures wherever they may take you. That's ArtemisOverland.com, ARTEMIS Overland.com. Check them out, hit them up on social media, and tell them thank you for their continued partnership and support of the 4x4 podcast. Okay, so here's my exciting news here with the Milestar tires. I actually went and bought a pair, a whole set for my wife's truck. You know, I've got a lot of miles on the BF Goodrich KO2s that were there, and 3 of those 4 tires were destroyed on the Mojave Road and were warrantied out under the roadside. And they were all sidewall gashes, and you know it's amazing how that kind of stuff happens. But I figured I'll try something new, and the discussion with Martin sold me. But these are far less aggressive than the mud terrains or even the Xterra. Kind of they're in between one. But I've got, let's see, at least 2 trips now to Johnson Valley for the King of the Hammers. Some other little trips. So probably getting close to 1,000 miles on them. Maybe not that much yet. But, you rack up miles a lot faster down here in Southern California when everything is spread out as much as it is. So I've been very happy with them. So more to follow on that experience as it kind of goes along. But what'd you guys think about Milestar Tires?
It was a pretty interesting interview. It's the amount of molds they have to make is pretty insane.
Yeah. Yep. But I feel like I've seen them on a lot of different vehicles lately. Especially the mud terrains. Very distinctive tread pattern. I see them on social media all the time, but I see them in real life too. So
I haven't experienced any of them yet, so I don't know. I have new Durango, so I don't need tires yet. The Jeep already has a set of tires that barely have hit the damn road, so
Since we've got you here, has there been any new developments in the Jeep department yet?
Well, because you get that Christmas thing going on, and then all the boxes end up out in the garage, up and around the Jeep because it doesn't move. So the wife kind of kickstarted it by saying, next weekend I want to get the garage cleaned up a little bit. I said, okay. And then she went on a wine weekend.
And when she says, I want the garage cleaned up, that means, Craig, you clean the garage.
Well, no, she said she would do it with me. And
okay.
She actually said, no, not this weekend, next weekend. And we finally got our story straight. Some people say next weekend. You mean the next weekend coming up. She said, oh, no, not this coming weekend, the next weekend after. I said, okay, let's get that. So next weekend, we're supposed to clean the garage. Well, I got a head start on it. And I actually got all my water storage set away. So I have 30 gallons of fresh earthquake kit. And now the floor under the Jeep is all nice and clear. So after this coming weekend, she decides what else needs to be done that I can help her with. The next weekend after that comes oil pans coming off, the new seals going on, and then probably at the same time I'll pull the flywheel and try to figure out if I'm going to get it resurfaced or just buy a new one, and then it can go back together.
So are you putting in an old clutch, the clutch that was on there as well, the flywheel?
No.
Okay.
I got a new clutch, but the flywheel looked really good, but since the vehicle, it's been off and there's nothing been touching it, it's got all that surface rust on it. So yeah. I'm not sure if I want to pull it off and then hit it with a DA and see, see how it looks, and then decide if I'm just going to go ahead and order a new flywheel. Then, of course, that'll take even longer. But I got all the junk off of it. I got some new stuff for Christmas that it kind of like all sets me up for camping. So that's fun. That's what we need to do, is show about what we got for Christmas.
Now it feels like it's been forever. Did you get anything cool for Christmas? I mean, here we are. It's February 1st.
Well, I ended up with pop-up, but, everybody said, everybody's got a pop-up. But I got a 10 by 20, but then I also got a...
Talking like an easy-up awning thing?
Yeah, the easy-up awning. But I got the... which I had purchased that, but I had got for Christmas a tent that hooks inside a pop-up. So you put the pop-up and then you just walk out and you hook it inside the pop-up and you have a tent.
That's pretty slick.
So I said that's about, I put it on my want list. My wife got it for me. But then she also got me some small solar, a little solar panel, a little 5-watt solar panel or something like that, I think it is. And it's one of those ones where you just set it outside. It's got a little battery. It can charge my phone, But then she got me a camp stove charger. It is a little camp stove.
Is it a BioLite one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the BioLite.
Yeah.
It's got the little battery that it sits on the side, so you use wood and to cook, but it has this little battery thing. It sits on the side of it, and as it heats up, it creates electricity.
That's pretty cool.
So, so you can charge your phone.
Cool.
So
my only hesitation.
I think we actually recommended that on one of our Christmas gift guides a couple years ago.
I feel like we have talked about that. My hesitation, and it's funny, there's probably a listener who's just yelling at his radio like right now that just listened to this same discussion a month ago. Like, my concern would be here in the state of California is everything is always under a burn ban or something, which would make it challenging. And I don't know how much electricity it cranks out. You have to try it out and see what kind of output. I mean, you don't want to sit there and tend to fire for an hour just to charge a battery to charge a cell phone. I don't know. It sounds like some shenanigans I don't want to be a part of.
Well, I mean, if you're desperate, you're going to do what you need to do. You know? So, but the nice thing is it comes with a little fan that that actually blows air in to stoke the fire.
Huh. That gets you a nice solid burn. Probably reduces the smoke output and everything. Well, that's cool.
I think they've come out with a few accessories for it now too. So
yeah.
Well, the only disappointing part is the bag it came in. Instead of one bag for all of it, it's two separate bags. That's the only disappointing part about it. Is it's two different bags you got to carry. So that's okay. I found another bag I had that I hadn't been using, and I made it into my kitchen bag.
There you go. You just put those two smaller bags into a bigger bag, and you're set.
Yeah, now I have 3 bags in one.
Here you like bags. We got bags for your bags.
You got bags for the bags and bags for the bags.
That's funny. Oh, well, Rich, how about you? Have you bought any new vehicles recently?
Oh my God. 2020 was the year of me paying property tax and registering vehicles. I think I did 5 that year. Last year. I don't think we talked about it, but I did buy a camper. I bought an outdoors RV camper. We've taken a few trips on it. Nothing big, just up to Nebraska to visit my daughter in school.
Yeah, you're talking like a bumper pull RV type of camper.
Bumper pull travel trailer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's kind of nice because outdoors RV has a higher ground clearance than most of those travel trailers, so they do have some minor off-road ability to them. So, but it's nice. We do like it. Had the Rebel. Let's see. I think we've talked about that. Bought a 2005 Jeep TJ that was on 35s. Got a good deal on that, and then turned around and sold it to one of my son's teammates on his football team.
But this wasn't like a flip. It was just hooking up a kid with the deal.
Yeah. Well, it was my wife's car. My wife wanted to get back into a Jeep. She got the Jeep, and then we decided, oh my God, we're getting too old for this. You know, if you've owned Jeeps through the ages of Jeeps, like I've had CJs up through JKs, and you know how comfortable they're getting, right? Well, it's hard to go from a JK backwards to a TJ. I can't imagine going backwards from a JK to like a YJ. You know,
or how about a CJ?
Or even a CJ. Yeah, we're like, all right, this just as a daily driver.
Yeah, especially daily drivers.
You know. Yeah. So sold that to one of her teammates. Got her a 2024 runner, which she's really happy with. My son blew up his Ranger. So I bought him a 2003 Ram 2500, which pairs nicely with my 2017 Ram 2500, which is what I traded the Rebel on. So now I'm driving a black series, an all black Dodge Ram 2500. Loving it. It's really nice. I had to do that to pull the travel trailer.
There you go.
Loved my Rebel. Loved it. I miss it. Probably the best truck I've ever owned.
Well,
But
so I
yeah,
don't
you
understand
gotta
why
do what you gotta do.
I just don't understand why you just didn't hand that down to your son.
Payment.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the podcast is not making that kind of money. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So what
wait
happened to the
a
Wrangler
minute.
then? Is it gone to the big pick-a-pole in the sky, or is it?
No, we actually sold it to one. I'm making a good living selling vehicles to my son's friends.
At what point do you have to buy a license as a dealer?
I know. Well, we did not make any money on that thing, that's for sure. No, it's now a farm truck. They're going to be dropping a new motor in it, and putting a lift and putting some 33s on it. But yeah, it'll become a farm truck, so which is it's perfect for that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean I first learned to drive in a Ford Ranger on a farm.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a 1983 with a little 4-cylinder diesel motor, but times were different there.
Yeah. So, but as far as the 2500, I put a bed rug in it just for the sake of wanting something easy as a bed liner to put in. Plus, anybody who knows crawling around on a bed liner bed sucks. So that bed rug is really comfortable. It's really nice. Put a Softopper on it, which I it's got its pros and its cons. It's not as secure and it's not as watertight as an actual fiberglass topper is, but the way you can just fold it down to be able to haul tall stuff and use your truck as a truck is pretty convenient.
Yeah.
And then a few days ago, I bought a set of decked drawers just because I really missed those deck drawers that were in my Rebel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't transfer from the 1500 to the 2500.
Really?
But I found no, they don't.
Huh.
You're going from a 5'7" to a 6'4"
Oh,
bed.
yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah. But found
So-
a set of.
But if you did have the 6'4" bed on the 1500, would that be accurate?
It probably would. If you had a 6'4" bed on a 1500, yeah, it probably would fit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if we lived
Unfortunately, I
closer,
did
I
not.
could have just come over and we could tried it out.
No kidding. Well, I sold them. I didn't. And then I found a
Sounds
set
like-
on Facebook Marketplace. I bought those for the same price I sold mine for, so I kind of broke even.
There you go.
Unfortunately, they don't fit. I know. I get them all the way home. I'm trying them out. I took the bed rug out, thinking maybe that was the issue with why it wasn't fitting. It's not. They're cut differently, so
Oh, man.
I'm currently working with a guy. I think he's going to be a stand-up guy and is going to take them back.
Man.
So
What a
we'll
bummer.
see. Other than that, or I'll be
Is it
stuck
because
with,
of the year or something?
It is. So these are cut a little differently. You go to the front corners of the bed. These are cut at a straight 90 degrees, whereas the bed is not.
Yeah, it's
And
it's a
I
little
looked-
rounded, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like boxed in and rounded. It's not an easy cut. So I looked at it, going, maybe I can just cut it to fit. That's the only place I can find where it's not fitting. But if you're familiar with deck drawers, each corner has basically a pocket. This is where you access to how you secure the deck system to the bed, right? And then on top of that, they also serve as storage pockets. In order for me to cut the drawers to fit, it looks like I have to cut into one of those pockets. And frankly, that's more work than I'm wanting to put into.
Yeah. I don't blame
Yeah.
you.
And then you damage it. You damage the box, and then it could cause a whole different set of problems.
Yeah,
It's better to just get the ones that fit.
Yeah, not only that. I mean, you get them there because the whole reason you get them is because they're waterproof and dust resistant, and you want to keep your stuff clean and dry. And once you start cutting into stuff, then you wonder, all right, is it still going to be keeping my stuff clean
yeah.
and dry?
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the benefits
we'll
of the
see.
deck system is that it's so weatherproof.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, people either love them or hate them, you know. And I got to tell you, it's probably one of the best things I ever bought for my 1500. So,
See, yeah, I was super close to buying it, and just stopping by. Their offices are in Idaho. I was driving from Alaska down to California. It's basically on the way since we, drove through North Dakota anyways to get here, like super bad detour. But
yeah.
we ended up not doing it because I think if we'd had a camper like you had, it would have been a perfect fit. But if you don't have a camper, you lose basically 2/3 of the bed height to the drawers.
See, and that's where I argue that, unless you're hauling like dirt or mulch, stuff like that, you don't really need the bed height, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be securing everything down anyway. So, they got the core tracks that you can attach to them. You can pop those little covers off the storage pocket and tie it down to the loops that are on the bed themselves. But otherwise, how much are you really using that bed height for? I think you actually gain more usable bed space because now you've lost your wheel wells.
Well, the thought process was we were moving. We had the truck pulling the adventure trailer that we built, and so the bed was full of plastic totes and bins and duffel bags and stuff, and it all fits underneath the tonneau cover, just the roll up tonneau cover. But if we had the decked, then tonneau cover is obviously out of the question because then you'd have 5 inches.
6 inches of space, yeah.
Yeah. So then I would have had a bunch of plastic totes piled up on top of the decked. It just wouldn't have worked at the time.
Yeah, I would actually argue that the deck system works not as well if you have a camper shell on it. Because then you really do use a lot of usable space that, if you think about it, you have your camper shell, you're already limited on your height of your items that you're putting in there. And then you add a deck system in it, and now you're really limited. So really, open cap or using a Softopper is probably your best bet.
Well, it's a bummer it didn't work out. But you still plan on trying to find some that do fit?
Yeah, I'm still looking.
Okay.
So if anybody out there has a set of deck drawers that fit a 2017 2500 short box, let me know.
Yeah.
Well, see, then what you do is once you get that in the bed, then if you're going to just use your soft tonneau cover down, what you do is you just get totes that are just high enough to fit under the tonneau cover.
Yeah, like a rifle case, and that's about it.
That's about it.
Well, the rifle case height,
Yeah.
Honestly, mine would be in the drawers. It wouldn't be laying on top.
Yeah, especially since you can lock those drawers and have the tailgate locked, like double locked. That's a pretty good idea. Well, either way, I don't see a decked system in my future, and we'll talk about that when it's my turn. But Rich, did you have to harvest anything else out of the 1500 before you went to the 2500?
Yeah, I did. I grabbed my GMRS radio out of it, which is another thing I'm doing. Hopefully this week is I got Midland now has a smaller antenna for that radio, and I'm going to try to get that mounted up on the hood. I think. Are
the specs the same?
Like
does it still have the same?
Well, it doesn't
decimal,
have as
gain?
much. Obviously, with antennas, the longer the antenna, the better your range. And you're never going to get away from that. But this is similar to the types of antennas you'll see on like cop cars.
Yeah.
If you ever notice that little tiny black nodule that sticks up off the roof.
Sure.
It's similar to that, so it's a little lower profile.
Well, those still work great. Like I've got the Wii Boost in Stephanie's truck, and we put that to good use just yesterday. So went out to King of the Hammers, and you get out in Hammertown, and Craig, there's the cell phone bush, and otherwise there's nothing for cell phone service.
Well, unless you buy it.
Yeah, unless you sign up for the Wi-Fi service, but they were having some issues with that based on what the vendors were saying. But we went out to the race course out in the desert to watch the trophy trucks flying by at 100 miles an hour, which was awesome. But I was able to sit in the truck bed, watch the race, and stream the Ultra 4 coverage on YouTube because my cell phone would link into the Wii Boost, which would boost the signal, and I'd be getting great service. It's like the gentlemen that were sitting next to me, like, how in the world are you doing that? And I said, well, come over here. I opened up the door so that they can leech onto that signal that's getting boosted. And they were able to send text messages. And so right there, I think I sold a couple Wii Boost systems because that's all it took. They just got close enough to be in range of the receiver that sits inside the cab to go to that antenna that's pushing out more power. And it worked great. And it's just a little nub antenna. I think it's, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 inches long. It's magnetic.
Yeah, this one's about the same. It's about 3 inches.
Yeah.
But you got to. I also remember from my CB days when I used to use the CB, and one of the guys told me that you want the antenna, a boosting antenna like that, in the center, closest to the center of the vehicle as you can, as high as you can.
Yeah, well,
because
you want that
the
whole
vehicle
plane. Yeah.
because it at the top of the vehicle acts like a bounce plane. Because from what I understand, radio wave goes out of the antenna. It actually goes. It doesn't go outwards. It goes straight up, and then it comes back down, bounces off the top of the antenna or the roof of the vehicle.
Yeah, it's the vertical plane versus ground plane. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't want to get into antenna physics on this particular episode, but I can tell you, CB is way more finicky about that stuff. That's one of the benefits of GMRS radios is it's stupid easy, and the frequency that it's on does not require the 108-inch long whip antenna to get a maximum signal. It's in the 70-centimeter band, so I think that's what it's either that or the 2-meter. I can't remember which one it is. Anyways, it requires a shorter antenna to be effective.
Yeah,
I'm still going to use my.
So that's my other project for this week is to get that taken care of.
Okay. Well, all right. So
how about you, Dan? What are you working on?
Let's go back in time because I feel like there's been so much and I'm going to forget some of it. But the last episode we recorded was the Christmas gift guide episode, and that was early November we recorded that one. So after that, I ended up going up to Alaska for Thanksgiving. I managed to harvest a caribou, did all the processing and got it frozen and brought home a little over 100 pounds of caribou. Been eating bratwursts and all kinds of great stuff ever since then. And so that was a lot of fun. It was a little bit of a shock, though, when we get on the plane down here in Southern California, and it's in the 70s, and we get off the plane in Fairbanks, and it's negative 18. But I was mentally prepared for that, but my face was not. So that took a little bit of adjustment. But we did Christmas back here in Southern California, and somehow, I'm still not certain how, but my whole family ended up getting COVID. So we were under house arrest. Like, I did not even go out into the garage to do any welding because, Rich recommended maybe don't do things that could be harmful to a respiratory, like, flux core gases and stuff like that. So I was a good patient. I didn't do any of it. Sat on the couch like a good little person and worked from home. But we all had very minor cases. It was, the loss of sense of smell is about the only thing, but otherwise healthy. But what that allowed is now I had that memo that said I had the antibodies and I could go to the King of the Hammers as well. So we did all of that on Saturday and Sunday. So, like I said, today's February 1st, but that was a great time. I plan on going back out.
Get your taste and smell back?
Yeah. I've got my little cream soda here, and I can taste it. I was joking with the Offroad podcast guy that I would go around and fart every time I walk past my wife, and once she could start smelling, I knew things were getting healthy. She did not, however, appreciate that. But yeah, it's basically come back. Maybe not to the same degree, but I chalk that up to getting old anyways. Plus, I've had my nose broke a couple times, and I've had some cauterization things, so my sense of smell wasn't great to begin with. But everybody's healthy, so that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, survived. I'm now a COVID survivor. But I also had the chance, Dan Grooters from the Nissan Nation podcast and his race Xterra, he finally got it to the point where he was ready to bring it out to the desert and do some testing. And brought it out to Barstow, got it off the trailer. I guess they did a little loop around, didn't really do anything. I showed up, and just like seconds after I show up, he pulls off and maybe goes, I don't know, maybe 100 feet before he shears off all 6 lugs on the driver's side rear, and the wheel goes bouncing past them. And that brought the fun to a stop real fast.
Yeah, it really sucks when you look over and you watch your wheels pass you. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. It was the driver's side rear, but it bounced past on the passenger side. The fun stuff. They did end up getting it, a couple of the lugs. I don't know if they ended up getting all 6 back in there. We found some lugs at a parts store down in Barstow. But the transmission was still not acting right. It was just stuck in first gear. So he had a good time romping around in first gear, keep pinning it to the rev limiter, get the suspension working a little bit, and find some of the other kinks that need to get worked out. But it was cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty hard to race in first gear.
Yeah, you're not going to be winning any races in first gear. That is for sure.
That's a great way to break in a motor. Ping! Bing!
Yeah.
Right to the rev limiter.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a new motor. So that Xterra, I don't know if you've been following along on his build, but he bought it on the internet, sight unseen, went and picked it up, and he could tell the story a lot better than me, but he somehow picked up some hitchhiker and had a power rock and super weird, sketchy situation. But he drove that thing for a long time until he finally decided it's going to be a race truck. So he stripped it out. It's an awesome looking Xterra. Not going to lie. It's full on race car at this point. But it was just kind of a bummer to see all that work go into it and then not really come together in a fully functioning race car that could do some good testing. But I'm sure he'll be back.
That's where bugs happen.
Yeah. I told him next time you're coming out to the desert, let me know. I'll come out and lend a hand. But while we were there, I got to meet at least one of the guys from Rogue Overland. Have you guys seen their videos on YouTube? High production value. They do a great job. If not, I will have a link to their Instagram account and YouTube in the show notes for this at the 4x4podcast.com/160. And also
one of the channels I subscribe to. So.
Yeah, well, theirs are way better than ours. They put together legit good video content. I do not. That is not my skill set. Also met Car Jeep. We've been, friends and talking on social media for a while, but now it's fun to finally meet him in face-to-face. And then, as we were leaving, driving
That's the XJ guy, right?
No, so Car Jeep, he's also a Nissan guy. He's got a really cool
That's right.
Frontier, which is funny because it is neither car nor Jeep. But he's a cool guy. He's got a lot of fabrication experience, so I'm going to lean on him a little bit more for some coaching to continue to improve my welding skills. Even though I'm one of the lowly people still using flux core, and he's big time welding, machining on airplanes and fighter jets and stuff. He is the legit fabrication stuff.
Well, he needs his to stay together.
Yeah, well, his truck was running nicely. I can say that. But as I was leaving, I saw a notification on Instagram from Jerry at Tembo Tusk, whom we've talked about a number of times, but I've never actually met until now. He was out camping in Calico, and I said, "Holy crap! I'm driving literally right past Calico," it's like a 4-mile detour off in like down a dirt road. I said, what's your grid coordinates? I'm coming to find you. So we talked for a little bit. I couldn't stay and hang around a lot because I had, food that we picked up at Chipotle to take home. So the rest of the family did not go hang out with old Grooters in the desert. But it was great to finally meet Jerry and see the kind of the inventor of the Tembo Tusk, or at least what brought that idea here to North America. So it was great. He had a cool electric bike too.
So what was he cooking on?
He was using the Adventure Scottle, turns out.
The smaller one.
Yeah, which was handy because he's got a really nice Tacoma with the Nemo, or the Adventure Trailers, the Nemo tent on top. If you have not seen that one on Instagram, that's another one. Check that one out at Tembo Tusk. I'll just have a link here in the show notes. Very cool. And then now that kind of brings us here to current, where, I was able to go out to King of the Hammers. We saw, so Saturday was qualifications for some stuff. They had the Class 11 race under the stadium lights. It was a little short course, a little 2-mile or almost 2-mile loop right there in Hammertown. And it was awesome to see those VW bugs just battling it out. So they did 25 laps, which came to about 50 miles, I think. And it was just a riot. Everybody, like all the spectators, were right up there watching on the Jumbotron. They were crowded around the track, and you could see all the action up close. And it just doesn't get any better than that. Like, that is homegrown racing, those Class 11 VW bugs. So I really hope Dave Cole and the Ultra 4 racing team bring that one back as like a regular event. Because, King of the Hammers has really turned into a multi-type of racing week. You've got King of the Motos coming up. They did the trophy trucks yesterday with they're calling the T1s, or the full unlimited trophy trucks. The T2s are kind of a spec trophy truck. So the engine and suspension and everything is kind of limited, so it's a spec race class. But then they also had the B1s, which is really a Class 1 buggy. So it's the same thing. It's just not a truck. You can still have as much race car as your wallet and budget can afford. Racing through the desert. It was awesome. We had a spot right there on the race course out at one of the remote locations where they were really coming into it with some speed and hit the berm pretty fast, hitting a turn to go up a hill. So the kids got to see all the action. And then between the action, my middle daughter and my son, they were just racing around a little remote control car, having a great time. So the King of the Hammers is such an awesome event. It really has something for everybody. The vendor area down in Hammertown, I think, was not as full as it was last year, which makes sense since everybody that goes in there had to be tested for COVID. So that's probably one of the safest events you're going to attend. If you're going to go to an event anytime soon, that's going to be the way it is. Very safe, but so vendors down, but attendance seemed to be just as busy. Like, there were just as many campers scattered all over the desert. The race course was loaded with people. Backdoor and Chocolate Thunder were just complete mayhem till, I'm told, 5 a.m. I obviously didn't hang around for any of that shenanigans, but there's just as much going on as any other year. But one of the things that's nice about going to King of the Hammers is you meet so many people. I ran into a couple of the guys from Ironman 4x4. They came down from Oregon. So Chris and Greg, and it was awesome to see their vehicles all built up. Land Cruiser, 4Runner, and a FJ Cruiser, very nicely built. Obviously using all the Ironman 4x4 gear. Their suspension looks amazing. Seemed to ride super nice. And they've got some really cool stuff coming out. So we're going to hear more about that here in the future. I've been very happy with the Ironman 4x4 lights that I have. Phenomenal. Did you guys see the video that I did of those?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, I'll have to share that one again. I've got these. It's a 5x7.
Did you put it on YouTube, or what did you put it on?
Definitely did not put it on YouTube because, as I mentioned, I am horrible at that. It's probably on Instagram. I'll do a better job.
Okay.
And share that better. Because if you guys didn't see it, obviously there's a bunch of people who didn't also see it. But those things are amazing. So, also,
we got to get Rich out to King of the Hammers one time. Because it is an experience you need. It's one of those bucket list things you got to do if you're into this. What we're into.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, and it's an experience. You just see all these people that no hotel, and what do you call it? The support crews that they figured out. Okay, we got a guy running around selling wood. We got another guy with a water truck. Yeah. We got another guy with a septic truck going around pulling, cleaning out septic tanks for RVs.
I've been trying to make it out there for years.
Now you got the RV, you're good.
Well, I've had a couple of the race teams have asked me to come out with them, but the timing has just never worked out for me. So,
Well, one of these days you'll actually be able to retire, right? And then you can pick your own schedule.
That's right. I'll be 80.
Yeah, well, I promise, if you go out there when you're 80, you'll still be in good company with people just like you. I do not recommend bouncing on the rocks in Chocolate Thunder, though. That would not be great.
Well, he can sit out there with his whiskey.
Yeah, there you go. There's definitely a lot of that going on as well. Well, so moving on through our kind of show notes here. For our gear review, so one of the companies that was out there was Off the Grid Surplus, and I've talked to them before. I believe they've been on the podcast, but anyways, so Off the Grid Surplus, they make clothing specifically for people that are into the kinds of things that we are. So somebody who's gone through and lived in these pants and kind of figured out these are the things that are annoying, and this is what we want to change. So, for instance, there is, where, I don't know about you guys, but I put my wallet in my right butt pocket on my jeans. So there's that, but they also have a pocket that's made for a wallet that does not sit right under your butt cheek, causing your leg to go numb while you're actually driving. It, sits up a little bit higher and to the side. So, things like that make perfect sense. There's a zippered pocket that's, almost invisible on the left leg seam. So chapstick, little things like that just sits in there, but it's not in your waist pocket. So you can actually unzip it and get into it while you're sitting in a vehicle seat. They've also got two pouches or, pockets that really you don't even notice it's there, but it's just the right size for an AR magazine. It's amazing that somebody has figured all this out. The knees are stitched so it's articulated, so it doesn't your pant leg doesn't ride up funny when you're sitting or climbing around. It's got just enough stretch to it. It's treated with the water-resistant coating. These things are amazing. And I'm tired of destroying, in the last couple months, I've gone through a couple pairs of jeans just by moving, working, doing things like that. So, stupid. So I finally decided I'm going to buy a good pair of pants. The Trailblazer 4.1 is the pants that I've got. So they've gone through a couple revisions, and I think they're actually about to release the 5.0. So whatever's next, you have to go to the Off the Grid Surplus website, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes. But they were at the King of the Hammers in Hammertown, and these pants that are normally $70, I got for $50. So, pretty great deal. I've already put in an order. I'm going to get a couple more pairs and just ditch all these pairs of pants that I am completely unhappy with. Off the grid Trailblazer pants, 2 thumbs up. So very happy with that. We've talked about OnX Offroad Maps before, and we've got an affiliate relationship with them. So if you want to sign up for OnX Offroad after I tell you about all the things they've done for King of the Hammers, you can just go to the 4x4podcast.com/OnX, ONX, and that'll take you there, and it's the same price. And sometimes there's a sale, but right now I don't know that there is. But they have the entire King of the Hammers course map in the app. So I was able to get out to, like, beeline straight out to the point in the desert where I knew the race course was going to be coming by, where I knew the trucks could be building up some speed and have a great view of things. And it worked great. Had an issue, like it wasn't loading at first, but I deleted the app, installed it, and it all came back. So it was good that I had that knowledge and experience because, I was out there on the race course and somebody was asking their buddy down the row of trucks, like, what race mile are we at right now? And I said, we're right at race mile 101. I know because it's right here on the course map that I have on my thing. He said, I tried that, it didn't work. But I was able to help him troubleshoot, both with the cell phone service and also getting the app reinstalled, and the map showed up for him. So it's very cool. And then you see all the other trails that are in Johnson Valley and near Johnson Valley. Like, I'm just super happy with OnX. I wish I had more opportunities to go use it. Now on to some feedback. So the first one, and I think these were all feedback sent through Instagram. The first one is from @LostKingman regarding our fuel tank from the gift guide. We're talking about fuel tanks. His 2019 F-150 has an extended range tank. It's got 36 gallons, giving a 700-ish mile range. Thought we might find that interesting. And I followed up with him. And that 36-gallon tank, that is not one of the Titan tanks that we talked about. This was an OEM Ford fuel tank. It was on the window sticker. I don't know if he special ordered it or if he just happened to pick the one off the lot that had that 36-gallon tank. But that's awesome. I didn't even know that was an option that was available.
No, maybe he just got it in the parts department. Said, hey, do you get a bigger tank? Oh, yeah, we got an OEM tank. It's 36 gallons. Oh, okay, well, give me it.
Yeah. Well, so he did say that it was like a $400 option. I imagine it was from the dealer or from the factory. I don't know that dealer's doing fuel tank installations. He
probably ordered that truck.
Yeah. Either way, I don't know why they don't just throw a 36-gallon tank in there. Sure, it's going to cost more to fill it up every fill-up, but if you only have to fill up every 700 miles, okay, run it half tank, then fill it back up so it doesn't smack your wallet so hard. I don't know.
I have my Durango. I'm getting 510 miles out of a tank of gas, and I got a 24-gallon tank.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Just imagine what you do with 36 instead. Yeah,
well, I don't have room for 36 in my Durango, so.
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe you should have got an F-150. Also, we got this one here from 10 Kilmer on Instagram. He is at RescueCon, ResQCon. Very creative spelling there. He caught me. Apparently, I have not uploaded or shared any pictures of the third row seat that I have in the Jeep Cherokee. He's got all the stuff sitting in the garage to go in the JKU one of these days. When he gets around to it, definitely going to destroy any storage for sure. And that kind of came up when I was talking about the fact that my Jeep now has exactly 0 storage with that third row seat in there. But, that's a nice thing. It's like any other third row seat. You hit the latch and you pop that thing right out. So if I don't need to use it, I don't. But yeah, I failed. Sorry, man. Tim, I will send the pictures directly to you so that you can see this. And then share with everybody else as well. All right.
What's CJ doing now for his reading seat?
We have a crash pad because I moved the seat out of his bedroom to make room for a climbing wall.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a little crash pad.
That was the incentive on finally installing the seat, was so you could put up a climbing wall.
Yeah. Well, this was there when COVID was in its heyday, and it was still 1,000,000 degrees outside here in the Mojave. Nobody wanted to go outside anyway, so I built that climbing wall in his garage, or I think I did build it in the garage. Then I hauled it up there and fitted it to his actual bedroom wall. But definitely one of the, if I had had a climbing wall when I was a 6-year-old, like, I don't know, life may have been different now. Who knows? But yeah, it was a good incentive. Next up, we have Nick is NM Must. He says, "Hi, Dan. Listen to every episode and love the show. Saw this meme and started cracking up at the XJ stereotype. I'll have to share the meme that he sent here. Keep making an awesome show and tell Rich one of my life goals is to meet him. I'm so thankful for your show, Dan. It's completely changed my outlook on camping and exploring. Every night, my girlfriend gets an earful about everything learned today from the 4x4 podcast. Have a 2008 Explorer that I always shamed for not being capable, but now I shame myself for that outlook. Even though the aftermarket is terrible and I can't, for the life of me, fit 33s on it, I still drive it up the mountain and have a blast cooking Dutch oven pizza. Hope to meet you and the crew someday." So, thank you, Nick.
Drive what you got.
Yeah, we've mentioned that many times, especially, it doesn't matter if it's a Subaru Crosstrek, soft rotor. If it's a Jeep Cherokee KL, I may shame you a little bit, but it's still perfectly capable. It's just super ugly. But yeah, I'm glad that we have inspired you not just to get out and use what you got, but also embrace the Dutch oven lifestyle.
That's right. Cook the Dutch oven pizza.
That's it.
Okay. He just shamed the new Jeep. Everybody, new Cherokee. Everybody's freaking out. Have been freaking out about. The other day, I'm in Salinas, and a guy passes me. He's got it lifted. He's got the rollover tongue bar out in front of this thing, fully outfitted, new bumpers, and it's wrapped with a camo red and gray paint job.
Yeah, so it's funny. I see these things.
It a stinger on it?
He has a stinger on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I see him on Instagram every now and then. Like, there's one that's a Jurassic Park theme on it. And the same thing. He's got like a stinger bumper and the 2-inch lift, which you can hardly tell that it's 2 inches, but I don't know. It did look better. I'll give him that. Still didn't look great, but it looked better. Whatever.
Well, I don't know what this guy did, but it looks more than 2-inch lift. He did something. He did something right. And since I have my dash cam, I'm waiting to get a good picture of this thing when I'm down there, and because he's down in the Salinas area, and I got my dash cam and I'm waiting to get a picture of a good shot of it passing me.
Yeah.
So I can send it to you guys because you guys got to see this one. It's great.
I'll have to scour the Instagrams and see if we can find it. It's probably out there. Oh, speaking of new vehicles. I got to see and touch the new Ford Bronco. The Sport is every bit as stupid as I thought it would be. But the actual Bronco, the 4-door with the Sasquatch package and the steel bumpers and everything, it's pretty good. Not going to lie, I like it. It does look like maybe the engineers at Ford bought a couple Jeep JLs and roll them in there, say, okay, here we are. Here's the target. Let's beat them in every way.
Well, now with that new, the only thing I haven't really looked into them that much, but the new Bronco. Now, does it have an independent front suspension or is it a straight axle?
Independent.
Okay, it is independent.
Yep. Which I think Jeep's being the last holdout, and it's just a matter of time before they give up the solid front axle. Anyways.
And then they'll never sell another Jeep again.
Yeah, they definitely will. I promise they will.
Yeah, they will, because there'll be a company out there that sells a axle swap like that.
Yep, I'm sure that Dynatrack and Dana will figure something out where you can do a swap back to it. But
Well, there is a company out there. I forget what it was. I saw it.
But you can go the other way too. I saw Casey Curry's, trophy Jeep out there, and it is definitely running an independent front suspension. And he definitely goes really fast across rough terrain.
Oh, yeah, you can't deny that.
So if they can make that technology go into whatever the next generation of the JL is going to be, I think it'll probably work okay. If it plows through King of the Hammers just fine, it's going to work.
Yeah, but they're never going to make anything that beefy from the factory. But there will,
Well, if I need to go into
there
Jeep
is the aftermarket,
Yeah. I mean, all the technology that is being developed and refined here at King of the Hammers, it's going to make its way into production vehicles in one way or another. It's inevitable. If they ignore what's happening out here, they're dumb.
Yeah, I have to agree.
It's going to happen. Speaking of development, the last thing that I forgot about to mention was I met one of the Garys from the Northwest Jeepcast. I don't know if you guys have listened to that podcast. It is hilarious that there are two hosts, both named Gary. Be that what it is, it was cool to see one of them with a very nicely built JK, coilover suspension, and it's very nice. He's going to be working. Be on the lookout around Backdoor on King of the Hammers. They're one of the recovery support vehicles. Last year, the race course came down Backdoor. This year, it's going up. Gravity definitely helps on that specific obstacle. Gary's going to get a workout recovering folks. There's going to be a lot of people rolling over and getting stuck on Backdoor this year.
Well, see, they just act as an anchor. They don't run cable. The racers are required to run cable. The support crew, they're just there to be an anchor.
They're still going to get a workout because you do not want to just
trying
sit
to get
there.
The hell out of the way.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the thing.
I guess I saw some testing, and one of the guys was stuck in that hole there, and he was trying to get winched out. Another guy came right and just barreled through, came up on the right barrel, and went right over his winch cable, and kept going.
Yeah, in that hole at the bottom of Backdoor, it's deep, it's huge. With everybody that's been out there pre-running and just digging it out, it's brutal. Okay, I think that is it. So just want to remind everybody that we are proud members of the 4x4 Radio Network. Head over to 4x4 Radio and you'll find a huge playlist from all the other shows on the network. You can listen to Center Steer Podcast, learn about Land Rovers, Jeep Talk Show, or On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. Either of those shows, you're going to learn a lot of Jeep stuff. And then Trail Chasers, where Cody thinks the Ford Ranger is the best thing ever, and then Matt and his little Nissan that could outdrives him every time. Be sure to check out them over at 4x4radio.com. And thanks again to Artemis Overland Hardware for helping this show continue. Be sure to check out Artemis Overland Hardware on Facebook and Instagram, and of course at artemisoverland.com. And also their newly expanded space there in Springfield, Missouri. If you have feedback on anything we've talked about on this show, you can email us, the 4x4 podcast at yahoo.com. The last people using Yahoo addresses, I promise. We're also on Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter at the 4x4 podcast at all those places. And if you want to call in a voicemail or send a text, you can hit that at 719-924-5337. Now it's time to hit the trails. So tread lightly, God bless, and stay safe while exploring your world.